Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Here's the secret to becoming an overnight success. I follow a lot of people, on social media. I read their books, I look at their stuff. And I like working and looking at people that are not yet mainstream. Now, the reason why I do this is because people that are not yet mainstream will do the most work in order for them to be seen. And this is where people actually do their best. They give you their best content because they're trying to create a platform and they're trying to create a name. When you follow already established and already known people, they have this certain pride that they don't even need to work any hard. You know why? Because people already know who they are, etc., etc. So this is the reason why I want to tell you in this podcast the secret to becoming an overnight success. You know what? You know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Right now, if you open the radio, that's if you listen to mainstream news, you hear of an expert that nobody knew about or had ever heard about. There's people like Fauci. I never knew there was a position like that up until COVID hit. And his expertise and his persona really came through, and people were listening to him during the pandemic, right? So there's certain people that you might never have heard of, but they're working and creating a brand of themselves, waiting for that opportunity to come through. And this is what I want to advise you to be doing instead of being or waiting for that overnight success which never seems to come through. You know who I'm talking about. There's those people who suddenly burst out in, like instant celebrities. Sure, you've noticed there's people from time to time. There's a guy, I don't know what time you're listening to this podcast, but there's a guy who's written almost 6 books, who's just sort of started, showing up, and he's the one who's talking about electric cars and things of that nature. People we never knew existed. You know why? Because maybe their time had not arrived, or the technology they're working on is not relevant as yet, but they never stop working towards their goals just simply because nobody has heard of them yet. All right. And when their time comes, it looks like these people have been in our world forever, and we now jump onto their content, we now jump onto their podcast, and automatically we embrace their message just because they've been, given a platform. There's people like Eckhart Tolle, who nobody knew of their own existence just because what he teaches is very blunt. It's so difficult for you to engage in Eckhart Tolle's teaching. First of all, the way he speaks, who he is as a person is not that interesting. But once Oprah picked him up, once Oprah put him on a platform, he has now become an authority when it comes to the spiritual side of things. So there's so many other people out there that are like that. They are sweating away, they're slaving away, creating a portfolio, creating a body of work, which when the time comes and somebody taps on their shoulder and they say it's your time to shine, they have a good story to tell. Right. So we've noticed these people time and time before, and they don't even seem like anyone special or anyone important. So we might have moved on and not even cared about who they are up until they become, exposed through a good platform. And now they're everywhere. Now they're in your news, they're in your podcast, people are writing blogs about them. All of that stuff is now happening around them. And more than that, they're getting a lot of loads of attention. And in this day and age where it used to be you get 15 minutes of fame, now we have 15 people with 60 seconds of fame, and it's even gotten lower because of TikTok. You know what I mean? So there's they become A-listers. A-listers start raving about them. A-listers start giving recommendations about them. They take up the next best program sessions. They become the next best thing to a great whiskey or things of that nature. They're getting comment after comment on their posts, and they seem to be striking up the right conversations with anyone that they choose. They're now maybe in the in crowd. There's always that 1% of people within any industry. And guess what? Everybody wishes they could be in that 1%. And then we start seeing people that are just stepping into the limelight. And you're like, wait a minute, I never knew of this guy. But all of a sudden, everybody knows him. All of a sudden, everybody knows her. And yet, just a while back, they were just like you and me, nobody special. Now, think to yourself, how do they do that? How can I do that myself? Let me tell you the biggest secret. It did not happen overnight. If you notice, a lot of people that are highly spoken about, people that are in the in crowd, they have published some sort of book, they've published some sort of podcast, they've been on bigger platforms, or they even have a bigger platform themselves. They have a personal brand, and it's easy for you to actually follow through how they became successful simply because of the body of work that they leave behind. So before thinking, of how you can become an overnight success, start today. Start working today on how you can be the next best thing. You see, I drink whiskey. And I'm reminded of this story because I was talking to some of my business partners, and then they're like, oh, how was your weekend? And I was like, you know what? This weekend I had the best whiskey. There's some whiskey that you drink and it just feels like it was meant to be there. The textures, the smell notes and everything else just seems right, And then I looked at the bottle and it had aged for 12 years. And then I started thinking to myself, somebody put hops water and burn some barrels and put this barrel of whiskey in a barn, and it stayed for 12 years, and they didn't even know that I was going to enjoy that whiskey at what particular day. So can you imagine in your business, what are you doing today that people will enjoy 10 years from today, 12 years from today, that they will recognize that because of all the work that you did, we're going to compensate you, we're going to repay you with either paying for your stuff or sharing your content because you've done an amazing quality of work, and now we're enjoying it today. Because this didn't happen overnight. This bottle of whiskey that I was enjoying didn't just show up in the shop and then I bought it. No, it was 12 years in the making for me to enjoy that one sip and be able to say, nah, I don't like it. Oh, wow, this is the best thing I've ever had. So no one is ever a true overnight success, no matter who you are. There's years of work. There's years of slaving. There's work that needs to be done prior for you to prove yourself, for you to prove the people around you, for you to stay consistent. Because if you just do something once and you're a one-click wonder, nobody's ever going to know that you ever existed. So no one is ever a true overnight success. No one ever has a race to reach his story in one day. Even babies need 9 months for them to, through their gestation period. What makes you think you're just going to rock up today with a video that you did, yesterday and you become an internet sensation? It's never going to happen that way. We've always known of people like Kim Kardashian. She just didn't do one sex tape. She continues to create content. She continues to create products. She continues to write books. She continues to give interviews. She continues to be relevant. What makes you think you can just show up with one thing and you become God's gift to everything else that ever came on the internet? It ain't never gonna happen like that. Not even to all those people that you can point out and say, so and so did it. He did it. She did it. He maybe kicked a ball through a window, and all of a sudden that was a TikTok sensation and people started watching his stuff. Yes, you can rack 1 million views or 10 million views or 30 million views or 100 million views based on the fact that people are watching your content over and over and over and over again. But if you don't create more, if you don't relate to that audience, grand opening, grand closing. So you can never be an overnight success by being a one-click wonder. You gotta show up. You gotta show us who you are. You have to encourage the people you want to connect with. You encourage their dreams. You want to justify their failures. You want to confirm their suspicions. You want to throw rocks at their enemies. You gotta stand for something, and you just don't show up one day and automatically think people are gonna triple stumble and fall and start working with you. It ain't never gonna happen like that. Not a chance. And the reason why a lot of people fail in life is just because they think whatever they've created today or whatever they're working on is what other people are longing for. Everyone is busy. People are desperately seeking for opportunities to be entertained, to be educated, and to be motivated. What are you doing to consistently hold their attention? Just because so-and-so did it, it don't mean that you're just going to show up and do the exact same video and then you become an internet sensation. Before becoming an overnight success, all those people that you envy made a crucial decision. They decided to go after what they wanted. I kid you not. This is probably episode number 120, and maybe some people have never even heard of me. You're probably listening to this podcast just because you saw something or you heard something or somebody recommended you to this podcast. But this is not the first episode I've ever put out. This is episode 100. Can you imagine 100 times and still nobody knows my name? And you think you can just show up today with your TikTok for 6 seconds and change people's lives? It ain't never going to happen like that. So what you see out there is people that have decided they wanted to work hard. It's people that have decided to really pursue it. People that have decided to be patient. People that have decided to create for and relate to their audience and put in the time, energy, and effort up until the one day somebody knocks on their house's door and they say, it's your turn to shine. And then they become an internet sensation. And then they become an overnight success. And so actually began the process because they followed through. And no one notices when somebody gets started on their job. Nobody notices, not even their relatives, not even the people they grew up with, not even the people they went to school with. No one notices. No one is instantly recognized as a household name. Or maybe nobody becomes popular as an innovator or an inventor of an awesome product. There's a lot of failures that have to happen prior. Just like what Thomas Edison mentioned, that he had to create 1,000 mistakes in order for him to come up with the right light bulb. I was laughing yesterday. I brought in a ladder, into our living room, and my little girl, who is 3 years old, currently was like, "Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And I said I needed to change the light bulb. For me, I look like a hero to my little girl because I brought in something that she hardly ever sees in the household, a ladder. And then I went up there, took off the light, and I screwed it up, and I got her to hold it. And then I asked the mom to bring me, the spare one the replacement one. And my little girl thought I was a genius. But how many years have I been changing light bulbs, and now I have the confidence to look cool in front of my kids? And my kids think Dad is the most awesome person. But I've done that all my life. It wasn't something that just came to me at that particular time to change that light bulb. And then if you really want to go back to that story, it took 1,000 iterations for Thomas Edison to even come up with that light bulb. Now, who do you think you are to just pop up with one blog post, one social media post, and then twiddle your thumbs, or go on a holiday and expect people to triple stumble and fall and buy your stuff? Let me tell you something. Nobody's going to notice what you're doing right now. Nobody's going to notice all the work that you're putting. Nobody's going to notice me yelling in my in my office right now up until something changes. I've been on TV. I write books. I put podcasts out there. But still, nobody knows my name. You don't have to have a big list of fans or followers or imported networking contacts or people that are high placed. It starts with nothing to do with who you know or whatever it is. It starts with a decision that you are going to make it. You are going to be that person. And when that decision is firm in your head, your work, whatever you produce, is now going to speak for you. And then one day somebody notices. Then somebody pays attention. One person clicks. One person shares. One person invites you to speak at their podcast. One person, puts you in front of their own audience. And then you now become this person, this badass person that everybody gets to know about. Case in point, Gary Vee. He put out 1,000 episodes. He put out 1,000 episodes of Wine Library TV before anybody knew who he actually was. Come on, man. And now everybody, eats whatever content he puts out there, but he had to put in the work. He had to put in the work in order to gain the trust of the marketplace. Now he gets their attention. And now he becomes a household name. Everybody who's in our space knows who Gary Vee is. All of a sudden, Gary Vee now gets noticed by a lot more people and more than until, he gets an avalanche of attention wherever he goes. It's not out of the blue. This person did not spring out of nowhere. This person did not just start today and became an overnight sensation. The true thing that happened overnight was his willingness to do it again and again and again. The true thing that happened to Gary Vee was he made a decision to put in the work. He made a decision to put himself out there. And that's something that anyone can do. You can decide today to actually do the work. You can decide to make a difference. You can decide to not be lazy. You can decide to write the best content. You can decide to put out the best podcasts out there. You can decide to put out the best videos out there. You can decide to write a bestseller book and another bestseller book. And maybe on book number 3, people will then start paying attention. What makes you think that one tweet, 125 characters is going to change the world? Unless you're Donald Trump. So at the end of the day, you need to really make a decision that you're going to be an expert and you're going to be consistent in the work that you're putting out there. And for you to be put out there, you have to either be on a platform or be invited onto a platform. And these days, reporters, bloggers, podcast people are the platforms that then amplify the work that you've been working on. Because we all want to be known as an expert. And experts are the ones who get maybe, media invites, or if something happens, people ask you for your opinion. And experts are the ones who make the money. If you're a nobody and nobody knows your name, nobody's going to hire you, because people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And you get trusted because you've got a body of work. You don't become an authority if you haven't authored anything. That's why in the name, in the word authority, there's the words author. What have you authored? Have you authored a podcast? Have you authored some content that people can refer to? Have you authored stuff that people can say, oh, this is his expertise? Becoming an expert is not easy. Becoming the go-to person that journalists and bloggers refer to or link back to is not an easy feat. You gotta put in the work. Even if you actually have the expert, or the expertise or the knowledge, getting others, particularly reporters and people that have a platform to see you as an expert or an influencer is very challenging. Imagine how many people they come across. They want the best of the best. They want somebody who's undeniably the expert in whatever it is that they claim to be. And some business leaders invest huge sums of money and time trying to achieve expert status because it's so vital to their success, and they still fail. Money does not buy time. All right? Money does not buy history. You've got to put in the work. We need to see the body of work that you have done before anybody can, knight you as an expert. And one of the challenges in this digital age is the internet doesn't forget. Right? When people start hearing about you, they'll start looking at where did you come from, and it's easy to see where you've been, what you've done, and who else knew about you prior. And everybody has been given a voice. You know what I mean? Anyone has a microphone. Everybody has a phone on that they can use to create content. But who are you and where you've been? Can we trust what you're saying? No matter what niche you're in, I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people that are blogging right now. There's a lot of people that are podcasting. There's a lot of people tweaking, Facebooking, creating ebooks about whatever niche you're in. Are you also contributing to the vast amount of knowledge that we need in order to make sense of the world around us? So how the hell are you supposed to stand out from everybody else and position yourself as an expert that reporters actually turn into? One thing you need to do is become the best at one particular thing. Because a lot of us as coaches and consultants, yes, we've got an array of things that we can do and produce, but being a jack of all trades isn't what attracts reporters. They want to talk to someone who is the most knowledgeable on any specific subject that they want a reference to. So you want to focus on a targeted niche and build everything, around that, so that you become undeniably the only person that's qualified enough to be an expert witness whenever stuff like that happens. You might think that this might limit your audience, but instead it actually helps you stand out and appeal to a much more targeted audience. So look at the people that you're serving right now. When you know that you're literally the only person that is able to solve a particular situation, then go deep on that particular niche. Write about it, podcast about it, let everybody know that this is what you do. And eventually, the media will come, the platforms will come, because at any given moment, if you're talking about health, wealth, or relationships, somebody's going to need advice. Hang in there, buddy. And pretty much once you are in that space, try and start putting in your own inputs. Yes, obviously, we are doing consulting, training, information, and expertise. But if you want to get paid speaking gigs, do your own research. You want to be the only source of whatever data that you have, so that nobody can go anywhere else and research about it. And you want to be the only person who can speak to that information and your expertise. So you should be the one making all these new discoveries just based on your own research or surveying or your own unique way of explaining certain things. And this makes you the source of all the valuable information in your niche. And it makes you the person that reporters want to talk to, because they don't want to speak to any other Me Too consultant out there. They want to speak to the specific person who has a specific process and has a specific pain that they alleviate. And pretty much once you've done that, spread your influence from within. Because you're not going to become a top influencer in your industry overnight. It takes a lot of time, money, and effort. So for you to spread your influence, you have to do it gradually. And you have to be doing something you absolutely love. Because if you're going to be doing something that you don't love, guess what's going to happen? You're going to fall short. And how are you going to grow and grow your influence and show people you can help them by actually helping them if you're going to fall flat on your face? Because as a coach, consultant, or as an entrepreneur, marketing your business is just one aspect of running a successful business. You're hiring new staff, you're managing books, you're balancing books, you're driving growth, and a lot more. And it feels like it's a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions all at once. Choose your lane and be known for something. The rest you can always outsource for. Back in the time, they used to say that if you want to have something done perfectly, do it yourself. I call bull to that statement. It doesn't work in the world we live in right now. Back in the time, people used to have last names that came from the profession that they were doing. If you were a Smith, or if you were, a Cooper, like I was talking about, barrels, or if you were whatever job that you were doing, you become known for that. Nothing else, nothing more. If you're a farmer within that industry, you become known for that. That now becomes your calling card. Of course, yes, you can do all other things, but you want to be known for something. Get people to refer people far and wide, and you become the only person that can solve that particular problem. Because you're not going to become a top influencer in your industry by night. People have to trust you. There has to be so much evidence and so much social proof around what it is that you do for anyone else to just pick you up. Because everybody's tired of, one-click wonders or people that are false starts. Nobody wants to make a mistake. So they want to make sure that if they're going to bring you in to talk about a certain or specific subject, you are the ultimate last line of defense that anybody else would want to talk to. And if they can't get information from you, then the whole world is doomed for failure. You want to create it that you are the last line of defense no matter what. You're the quarterback in your industry. You're the last person that if they can't get an answer from you, then that solution doesn't exist and it cannot be solved. And the fact that people have questions, it means you should have the answers. And that's why you need to constantly be learning enough within your industry so that you show up every single time with new and improved ways of doing things. Because once you say something out there and you're not yet quite known, guess what other people will do? The known ones who no longer want to do the work, they might just take your work, right? And when they've taken your work and then they put it in the public platform, it will be so difficult for you to then prove, hey, I was the one who came up with this idea when a big name already talks about it. So that's why you got to move. That's why you got to protect yourself. And that's why you got to consistently show up so that people can actually then, give you an opportunity to say, wait a minute, this person didn't let up. They have been doing this for a very long time. Let's give them an opportunity. Because spreading your influence is gradual. It's like a snowball effect process, an avalanche. Doesn't start off as a massive avalanche. It's just one snowflake after one snowflake that combines together. And soon you have an avalanche. And soon you have a story to tell. So you must first start small by maybe targeting people that you already know. Start focusing on building relationships with thought leaders and connectors who already exist in your network. Don't try and go on CNN or on BBC with a half-baked process without any proof. They're not even going to listen to you. So you want to start small, get a track record, get a lot of people who can vouch for you, create social proof around yourself, and then soon you have a name, and soon you have people that can trust you without having to get you to prove yourself before you even show up on their platform. So start focusing on small relationships. Start putting out small content. Be consistent. Because according to Google, you have to have at least 8 to 13 touch points before anyone starts paying attention. So tell me, in the grand scheme of things, how many tweets are those? Because if you're just looking at the one tweet that you did today, my friend, go back, create for and relate to the audience that you're going to be demanding money from in the future. Start building those relationships. Become a thought leader. Have people rely on you for important information. Feature your expertise in your blog or be a guest post in other people's blogs who already have an audience. Borrow other people's audiences by showing up and being an expert in what you're doing. This podcast in and of itself, I always pay attention to what's happening in the marketplace and I report on that. That's all I'm doing. And every day I have an episode. Every day I've got something to say. You know why? Because I've invested my time in making sure that I intricately understand what I am going to be dishing and talking about to my audience. Can you imagine being on a call with me where we are talking and discussing strategy? Can you imagine? So there you go. It's one of those things that we think, just showing up once makes a difference. It don't work like that. There's a lot of people that are putting in the work right now. There's a whiskey distillery right now that is just distilled whiskey that will be sold in 20 years. And they don't mind waiting for that time. You know why? Because in between, they have already created other 20-year instances that they will be selling. So each day, start the 20-year journey, and so that you never run out of things to say. So that's why I put out a podcast every single day, just in case this is the first time you're listening to me, and it becomes your stepping stone to getting to know, like, and trust what it is that I can do for you. And once you know who I am, it's like you can't unsee it. You can't unlisten to the value that I've just given to you right now. Can you imagine how many people you can influence just by showing up every single day? Don't be a one-click wonder. I want you to win. I really want you to create a success that nobody has ever heard of. And it's easy these days with the equipments that we have, with the kind of reach that we can possibly have. We can literally say something right now and the Queen of England can hear it instantly. We never used to have time like that. We never used to have an opportunity like that. So once you start creating, you now future-proof your business. You now future-proof your authority. You never have to worry about where your next clients are going to come from, as long as you start creating today. Because once you've got a track record of work, people will share it with their audience, and it will help you gain more visibility, and people will connect with you with more influencers in your industry. Have you ever noticed when you hear about an episode, or when you hear about somebody, you start looking at, okay, do they have blogs? Do they have stuff that I can catch up myself with what they've been working on? If you only have that one tweet, do you think people will care any more about what it is that you're doing? It's your turn today to start creating work that is going to be consumed in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years. You can do that. And once you do that, you start creating diverse, recurring revenue streams that will skyrocket your profitability and ensure that your business remains 100% bulletproof, even during market downturns, global pandemics, and sweeping lockdowns. I can't wait to start reading your content from now on. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au